Kia ora, hello, I'm Philip Duncan. Thanks very much for joining us for our first weather video of 2025. I guess it's not too late in the month to say Happy New Year to you, but it is the halfway mark of the month almost, so we're running out of time to be saying Happy New Year. It reminds me of the Curb Your Enthusiasm episode with Larry David, if you haven't seen it. Anyway, let's get into the forecast and see what is on its way, because we've got this big low pressure zone out near the Chatham Islands, and for those of you over the North Island and parts of the South Island, the windier weather lately has been caused by that, and it's actually blowing through Auckland to Northland, Coromandel Peninsula today, along the eastern side of the North Island and central areas as well, including the northeastern corner of the South Island. But this big low is moving away. But if you're wondering why the temperatures are down at the moment, look at that southerly flow coming in around that low pressure zone. Temperatures certainly down at the moment, particularly in the mornings. Overnight and in the mornings, it's been cold in some areas, like down to near 0 degrees. And if you're up in the mountains, it has been below zero as well. So some cooler air around at the moment. Big high pressure zone south of the New Zealand area is one of the reasons why we're getting that colder airflow, because anticyclonic around a high pressure zone, that is dredging right past Antarctica and then coming up near that low pressure zone, sort of being squeezed between the two. So that's why we're getting that shot of colder air at the moment. If the high pressure zone was further to the north of the country and up here to the northeast, it would be dragging down tropical air over us. So in New Zealand, our placement halfway between the equator area and Antarctica means that we're kind of like a roundabout in when it comes to the weather, and we can get a mix of both. And at the moment, we're getting the southerly change. As we go through the week, things are going to turn more easterly for us. So let me explain the week ahead. Here we are on Wednesday as we go to that low pressure zone out here to the east. You can see it's driving in more of that southeasterly, but the low is weakening and so is that wind with it. We've still got a few showers, mostly popping up into the afternoon. Could be a bit heavy as well, maybe some thunder in there as well, but most places are dry on Wednesday. Doesn't change a great deal on Thursday, similar kind of setup, still a couple of those afternoon showers. Might be a couple of light morning showers as well around the North Island, but generally it's really sort of those afternoon showers moving on through around Western Bay of Plenty, the Gisborne Ranges and out towards Coromandel Peninsula. Might even get a few showers popping up around Waikato as well. And in the South Island, you've got a breezy to brisk northeasterly, hugging those coastal areas. That's part of the reason your temperatures are down this week. You got that southerly flow coming through, and then locally it might be a northeasterly still, but that's the reason why those temperatures are down. For many places, if you want the heat this week, places like Waikato, inland parts of Auckland and Northland, and down around Otago, those are the areas that are seeing the higher temperatures going up to the upper 20s and maybe even getting over that 30-degree mark. Now by Friday, we've got a change. The high pressure zone is moving away off to the southeast, and now we've got low pressure forming, not only around the Chatham Islands out here, but also we've still got that low, obviously, that we've been stuck with, but these new low pressure zones forming over the Tasman Sea. And that does mean a change to the weather forecast. Now we're seeing subtropical air coming down over Auckland and Northland and brushing Coromandel Peninsula, parts of Waikato and Bay of Plenty. So your overnight lows are going to jump up around that 18-degree mark, which is pretty mild for sleeping. And further down the country, easterly winds, maybe they'll be more northeasterly and northerly around the eastern side of the South Island again. A couple of light drizzly showers for the eastern side of the North Island, a couple of heavier showers down there around southwestland and going in towards Fiordland. But this is an area of rain and or showers on Friday. And as we go through the weekend, it doesn't change a lot. The battle this weekend is between the big highs south of New Zealand and south of Tasmania and these low pressure zones just north of the North Island and just off the coast of New South Wales. So those low pressure zones with the high pressure to the south encourages an easterly. Now, interestingly, if this was the other way around, if the high pressure zones were north of New Zealand and the lows south of us, that would be encouraging one of our hottest wind directions, a nor'wester out of Australia. Looks similar to this map, but it's the other way around. And so with this setup, we've got a cooler airflow coming out of the Southern Ocean area, the sub-Antarctic area, coming in as an easterly. And for some of you, that's a northeasterly. Others, it turns around as a bit of an east to southeasterly. But generally speaking, easterly winds pushing across New Zealand on Saturday, not overly hot, but the further north you go, the more likely you are to be connected to that subtropical easterly, and that changes around about the Auckland area northwards, certainly Northland, more likely to be getting a subtropical easterly over the weekend. And then we go to Sunday, and the jury is still out. By that I mean the computer modelling. We've got these low pressure zones to the north of the country. I think this high just to the south may be the more powerful feature. And so we've got a easterly squash zone blowing through. That brings in cloud, showers, drizzle patches along the eastern side of the country, maybe a couple of afternoon heavy downpours, and the western side looks mostly dry and the warmest as well. So easterly winds blowing across New Zealand and across Australia by the time we reach Sunday. So most places over the next 7 days are leaning drier than average, but we do see a few drizzle patches, a couple of afternoon downpours, and then as we go into the weekend, like I say, I think we're still going to need a little bit more time to lock in what is exactly happening. We've got a limited schedule this week, so we're back again on Thursday and again on Friday. We can update you then with more detail about what is potentially happening this weekend and of course going into the later part of January. It is good to be back, and we'll see you again in a couple of days on Thursday.